So what we're going to do now is we're going to get ready to have a lab. And that lab's going to involve cutting copper tubing to a particular length. Now, in order to cut the copper tubing, you're going to use a special tool that HVAC workers use, and that is called, appropriately enough, a tubing cutter. We never ever use a hacksaw to cut copper tubing, because if you ever use a hacksaw, a metal saw, it leaves little grains of that copper, and that stuff would get into our metering devices and ruin it. So what we use is this, is a tubing cutter. And while this class is not about tools and tubing cutters, I thought we would introduce this tubing cutter while we introduce using the dreaded ruler, the things that most techs don't like. So when we use this ruler, when we measure things, we're going to measure it using what we call the odd over even rule. So what does that mean? So I have a few things up here. So I would not normally go and ask any of you to go, I want you to cut a length of copper tubing that is 4 inches and 8/16 long. Now we're getting into dreaded fractions, right? Nobody likes fractions. But we're going to figure out what does that 8/16 fraction really mean. First off, it's 16 because if you look here and you look between 1 and 2 inches and you count those little black marks, you'll find out that there's 16 of them from 1 inch to the next, to the next, and to the next. So this is in 1/16 of an inch increments. So what you have to do to understand what this number is, if you don't have to count all those little lines, is to do the odd over even rule. That's where we stop. So 8/16. Well, I can reduce that to 4/8. Okay. I can reduce this further to 2/4. And I can reduce this further to 1/2. Odd over even. That's the end. So instead of you saying, I measured it, boss, and it's 4 8/16, that would be true, but then you would not sound like you know how to read a ruler very well, right? But to do the ruler and to convert those dreaded fractions, that's all you need to do is to follow the odd over even rule until it matches up. So now,